You're listening to Beyond the Degree, brought to you by Cal Poly's Multicultural Business Program. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Tony. And in each episode, we sit down with alumni and talk about real stories behind their careers and the challenges, the wins, and the things in between.
Our mission is to humanize the professional world, spotlight the diversity of our community, and give current students a glimpse into what life actually looks like after Cal Poly.
This isn't your typical career talk. It's an open conversation about growth, culture, and connection.
In today's episode, we have Elyse Kaabi, a Cal Poly alumni who is now working at PWC in their San Francisco office as an assurance associate in their audit practice.
She was an MBP intern as well as ambassador. So now let's move on to the podcast. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us on our first Beyond the Degree with MBP Podcast. We have an amazing guest today, Elyse Kaabi. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could give a brief introduction about who you are, what do you do now, what were your involvements at Cal Poly, and then like some of your hobbies.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Elyse Kaabi. I graduated in 2023 with an accounting concentration. Um, I guess I could start with my Cal Poly involvements. At Cal Poly, I was primarily involved in MBP. I did that for 3 years as an intern, post doing their first year MBP Biz 100 class. I did the ambassadors program where I, gave tours to students, and then I also was in Delta Sig and was their senior vice president. Um, so those are my main involvements. I like tapped into women in business a little bit, and then I did slow days with the new student transition and orientation program, as well as the week of welcome, and graduated with accounting concentration. I interned at PWC my sophomore year and pretty much continued my full time post grad. Moved home for 2 years, got my CPA, and then moved to San Francisco.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, it seems like you're super involved in Cal Poly as well as like OCOB as a whole. I mean, when you were a student at Cal Poly, how did you imagine like your life would turn out after? Is it like what you expected, or is there any curve, or like how did you kind of envision that?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this a little bit, and I think at different stages of my life during college, I had different um, views of what I thought was going to happen. I think when I came in as a freshman, I was so excited and nervous at the same time. Like you have this picture perfect, ideal situation where it's like I am going to meet a bunch of friends, get involved, land a full-time offer, internship, like move to a crazy big city or wherever you want to be in your 20s, be successful, like whatever. But I kind of feel like the reality of that was very different. My freshman year, like COVID happened, didn't meet a whole lot of people, didn't get involved in the things I wanted to get involved in. Um, and I wanted to study abroad. That never happened, unfortunately. But I did get involved in those organizations that I mentioned earlier. So I feel like in that sense, like as a first year, I had these expectations. It didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. As a senior, I was excited to, go move to a new city in my 20s, um, be independent, make my own money, all of that stuff. And that didn't happen either. Like I moved home. So I think for me at least, while I've had these like big visions for myself, I think like the lesson that I've learned is, things happen, and I think I've learned to take things a step at a time. I think for now, my goal is to just integrate to the city, integrate to the office culture here. I'm new to the San Francisco private community that I'm in. Private's like the industry I work in audit specifically, um, and be in accounting for a few more years and see where that takes me.
Yeah, super cool. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's super relatable to have like this idea of having that perfect thing that you were talking about. And then we often see, when people graduate, it's not just this from 0 to 100, it's kind of like a difficult type of road. And I think as time progresses, it only gets like harder. So I think it's kind of like, thank you for sharing that. I think it's very valuable insight and
Mhm.
information that people would like to know. So I think as we progress with our conversation, we have like some more questions to really get down into like the nitty gritty of like the multicultural aspect. So the question we have is, how has your background or identity shaped your experience in corporate spaces since you work somewhere, since you work at PwC?
Yeah, I guess I can kind of walk you through like my, I guess, personal background and my experiences before I get into that. Like one, I'm half Vietnamese, half Persian. And I grew up in Switzerland for a few years as a kid, so I got a lot of experience going to international schools, um, you know, building relationships with people from all around the world, from like different countries with different perspectives. And then I came into college and then did MBP. So I was pretty familiar with, diversity and really appreciating um, that. And I think entering into the workforce, it's helped me a lot value those different perspectives. And I think with PwC specifically, it is a very diverse population. It's very different than Cal Poly's demographic. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I think with with my background, I've learned to appreciate that and I kind of seek that out. And I think that's something I really did look for in a job because I remember when I interned, I did their START program, which is specifically for underrepresented um, minorities and for select students. And I think going into it, I really valued that and I saw that kind of come to fruition. So I'm really happy where I am. I feel like the people I work with, come from all across the world. So it's been really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a two-part question. I know you mentioned, well, I know you mentioned earlier that your first year was like COVID. Could you touch on maybe a little bit of your experience? Like, how was it? Because I know a lot of first years now, we with our Biz 100, Biz 206 class, there, like they did the dorm experience. Like, it's kind of different. How was it for you, like
Yeah.
going through like COVID and kind of like
Yeah.
getting into like Cal Poly socially?
Hmm.
Well, my first year was really difficult. Like I mentioned before, like I had these big aspirations for myself. I was pretty social in high school, but it kind of was the opposite. I remember I was really locked in, like school-wise. And I think that's really common. Like a lot of kids start, their first year and they're like, oh my gosh, grades are so important, which they are, but I prioritized that over everything else. Like all I did was study. I only was at the library, like didn't try new things. Um, and when COVID happened, I think that was a big just reality check for me where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm moving home. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm seeking connection with other people in this time where, you know, I'm not able to. And I think that made me really realize I need to have better balance.
Yeah.
So my first year truly was kind of isolating in a sense. I only had a couple really close group, like very small group of people I spent my time with, but I didn't really tap into all different organizations or try different things. And I think that's what I realized when COVID did happen. And honestly, all of the involvements I just mentioned, like MBP, ambassadors, Delta Sig, all of that, like I did it, all of the recruitment process over Zoom, like literally in the midst of COVID, because I realized that I needed to change something. And, everyone's different. Not everyone wants to tap into everything. That's totally fine. But I think just
Mhm.
trying and seeing what really clicks because you might never know. And I think that was a big wake up call for me when I was home by myself all of a sudden in March of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a unique experience. I think like having to go through all of that, like obviously everyone experienced COVID in like their own like unique ways, but it's interesting to hear how you navigated that. And I'm curious to know how that kind of prepared you for something like your like the position that you work in now, and like if you could expand on like your position and how you got there, and essentially like what advice would you give students of underrepresented backgrounds like going into companies like the Big Four.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say like try everything, like put yourself out there. I think putting yourself out there is the biggest thing, and being yourself when you do that, because I think it's really easy to maybe put on a front or, you know, want to be received the way you think other people want to see that. And I think when you do things, you need to do it wholeheartedly. And I think, being involved in the things I was involved in and coming out of that, or I guess coming out of COVID and being involved in all these organizations, it was really overwhelming at first because it was like, oh my gosh, now I have all these things that are happening. How do I take everything that I've tapped into and like really find myself in that? Because while there's so many opportunities, and that's, the case in the real world too, and it's overwhelming, like you still have to find yourself in that. And I think going into PWC too, it's like everything is new. There's so many people and so many teams and industries you could be a part of, and people are pulling you left and right, but you still have to like stay grounded and rooted in yourself. So I think that would probably be my takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to say like what's something that like you personally, because I know even for like the students in college, like one big thing is like burnout, like feeling tired. Like that's like I think one of the most common things across the board. And I think even like once you get into the real world, I think it gets like it can happen. Is there anything like you do personally to like avoid burnout or just like get away from like the like rush and bust rest of everything?
I guess, are you talking in the sense of like college, or are you talking in the sense of work? Or
I
both?
think, I mean, if you could touch on both, that'd be awesome. I mean, I don't know if it's changed since you were at Cal Poly and now you're at PWC.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit, honestly. I think at Cal Poly, my outlet was people,
Right.
being involved, all of that, like socially, going to MDO on the weekends, trying to find things to kind of relieve all my stress. But I think the biggest thing I didn't realize in college that I learned about myself now, like after living at home for 2 years, is that I'm a lot more of an introvert than I thought.
Mhm.
Um, so how I like to kind of recharge now is I really enjoy being by myself.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I love going on walks by myself, spending time doing the things that I like to do and really recharging that way. I think it's really important to learn that about yourself and what helps you relieve your stress, because I think in college it's with everything happening, it's really easy to just suppress it. And, you know, I don't really know how to phrase this, but there's so much happening in college, so it is easy to get kind of carried away with whatever's in front of you. But I think post grad, I've learned to kind of really slow down, and that's how I recharge. So I think, like with busy season, for example, in audit, in accounting specifically, there's something called busy season. And you're working on clients who file. Like I'm in busy season right now. I'm still in the office, like in a little cubicle right now. Like recharging for me is, going outside, going on walks, listening to music, walking to work instead of taking the bus, things like that to like personally like get away from like reality and just kind of be with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super grounding and like such good advice, I would say, even, and like kind of like how you went from believing something and then kind of discovering yourself. Like as you grow up, I think that's a very unique sign of growth, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, now that like I feel you've gone through the 4 years, you like entered the big four, is there any like really like key advice or like something either you would maybe tell yourself, your freshman self, like what would you tell yourself now, like some a little piece of advice?
Um, I have like a lot, but I'm trying to think of like the most. I would say just be kind to yourself. I think you make mistakes, and you go through hardship, like no matter if you're in college or post grad. And it is, I think as you become an adult, it becomes a lot more apparent.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's in the same boat where it's like we're all doing life for the first time. So
Yeah.
we might as well be kind to ourselves and, try our best. I don't think I would do anything differently, honestly, if I was doing it all over again, just because I don't think I would be where I am today without that. But I think I would have been a little kinder, because I think it is easy to be really hard on yourself, especially in the working world too.
Mhm.
Things feel more like sometimes things feel bigger than they really are, especially when you're a first year or second year, like right out of school
Right.
and you're interning for the first time or you're starting a job first new company or whatever, everything feels a lot scarier than it really is. So it's not that deep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
That's
lovely.
great advice.
I hope everyone who's listening right now takes that advice and remembers to be very kind.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I have one like parting question would be if you like what was your like on a more like lighthearted note, what was your like one of your favorite like either Cal Poly, OCOB, Delta Sig, like
Oh
any like favorite
gosh.
memory? I know it's a little hard.
Favorite memory?
Maybe not favorite, but like one of the ones you will remember.
highlight.
Highlight. That's a good way to put it. A highlight.
There's a lot. I don't
Yeah.
know. Mm, I'm trying to think. There's just so many like little things.
Definitely.
Um, I mean, they're just like little things. Like I went to all the shebangs. Like those were really, really fun.
Those are
Yes.
fun.
Graduation, honestly, as much as it was kind of sad, it was fun because I think everyone was just so excited to be together like one last time. Just little things like that. I don't really have like one specific
Right.
Yeah.
like one time I did a sunrise hike with one of my really close friends, Jaden, at like 5 a.m. and did Valencia out in MDO.
Yeah.
That was like highlight. Um, yeah, I think just those little things. I think the little things do add up. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
All
thank-
right. I think that's all we have for you, Elise. Thank you so much for being our first podcast guest. We are so excited, and we're so excited for everyone to hear you and get to know you a little bit more. We are super grateful. And thank you to everyone who is currently listening right now. If Tony wants to add anything.
Yeah, no, we'll put her LinkedIn in the description
Yeah,
if it's
check me
okay.
out on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Connect
Yes.
with
LinkedIn in
me.
this. Awesome. Well, yeah, again, thank you so much for coming, taking time out of your day. Like I mentioned, we'll put her LinkedIn in the description. Yeah, that's it. That's all we
Thank
got.
you for having me. This was so much fun.
Awesome. All right, we'll see
All
you.
right. Thank you,
Bye.
Elise. Bye.
Thanks.